If you want the biggest and most luxurious SUV in the Mercedes-Benz range, it's gonna be this guy, the GLS, formerly called the GL. This is the largest vehicle in Mercedes' portfolio. They often call it the S-Class of SUVs because of how luxurious it is. But unlike an S-Class, you could fit 7 people inside of this one. This particular model is the new 2021 Mercedes-AMG GLS63. What does that mean? It means we've got a 603 horsepower twin turbo V8 under the hood. Let's go ahead and check it out. Before we get on the inside and see this amazing cabin of the GLS, let's see what is specific about this AMG model. We've got the Panamericana grille that first debuted on the AMG GT sports car, now making its debut on the big GLS. Coming around the side here, you get 21-inch wheels as standard, but we've got the optional 23-inch wheels. You can also get 23-inch monoblock wheels that are kind of a throwback to Mercedes 80s and 90s period. These are really cool. They look like center locks, but if you go ahead and check that out, they're actually not. It's just a cover. Coming around the back, we have the similar running board situation that we had on our GLE that we tested about a year ago. This is a big boy overall. You can tell that the fenders are a little bit wider here on this AMG model. And if we come around back, you can see our GLS63 badging. We can see clearly that this is a fully fledged AMG model, and you do get quad exhaust pipes that sound pretty nice. And if you thought the exterior was lovely, just wait until you see inside this cabin, because Mercedes has knocked it out of the ballpark here yet again with this design. Of course, since we have the 63 AMG model, we have some specific AMG touches, including this now ubiquitous AMG steering wheel. I love the latest design on this wheel here. It's wrapped in Alcantara though, which I could do without. I'd prefer it to be leather. Maybe that's an available option. Alcantara, you just have to worry about it wearing badly over the course of its life. I'd rather have it be leather, but I love these metal facing buttons. New on the AMG steering wheel are these controls here, these little screens. You can tell they have like little screens inside of them. This one here controls the drive modes, so I can go from comfort, sport, sport plus, and you can see it'll pop up on the screen to tell you what that exactly does to the engine, the transmission, and all of that stuff. There's a new individual mode that you can configure. You can also control the ride height. You can go from its low position to its high position here, and you can put it from automatic to manual mode here. All of those controls are also mirrored here. You have these separate AMG controls here on the center console. Here's our manual mode. We also have a few additional ones, traction control off. Here's our suspension. We can actually control the suspension stiffness as well. So if you want everything to be in comfort, but the suspension to be in Sport Plus for stiffness, you can do that. You can also adjust the exhaust independently of everything else, which is pretty cool. It's not the loudest exhaust. When you do hear a transition from normal to manual, but normal to quiet, but it sounds good, but not as loud as some other AMG models. Now, the infotainment system, let's talk about this for a little bit, because I have some really good things to say about it, but I also have more than a few complaints. It's a touch screen. As you can see, I can swipe through the main menu here, but I can also control it via the touchpad. So you kind of swipe left, right, up, down, and there's a home button and a back button here. There's a little hand rest here that you can go to. You can also control it through these little, I call them BlackBerry style touchpads. So this one here on the right, you just swipe left and right on it, and that's going to control this main screen here. This one here is going to control the gauge cluster, which is highly configurable. I love how much configuration there is here. You can see I'm controlling the gauge cluster now. So the RPM gauge, the speedometer, and then the area in the middle are all configurable and can show different information. I had a G-force gauge. You can see I have a little map in there, so if I don't want to have the map on the main screen and I want it directly in front of me, I can do that. I can also make this a full screen map, so I can make this entire area get taken over by the map. If I come over here to the right side, it's not always that easy to do. Here now I can have, instead of a speedometer over here, a main one, because I already have it in the middle, I can have a clock. I can adjust these in a million different ways, and if I back out of this menu, which is the trip menu, I can have performance gauges, so I can have it showing my boost, all that sort of stuff, G, whatever you want. There's different designs, like this is just the classic design, but if I go to Super Sport, it completely changes the appearance both on this screen and on this one. Look at that! Look how cool that looks. You've got your power and charge for the EQ boost system. We'll talk a little bit about that later. Look, we've got our RPM gauge now in this cool futuristic format. I've been keeping it mostly on the regular theme, but it's just really cool that AMG and Mercedes allow you to just configure this car so well. And I just said a bad word there. Mercedes. I'm not gonna say that too many times throughout this video because I don't want to accidentally trigger the voice command. If I'm saying the phrase, "Hey Mercedes,"
how may I help you?
It allows you to trigger the voice control without pushing a button. Kind of cool, kind of like Hey Siri or OK Google or one of those. But I've found that sometimes in normal conversation, it'll trigger if you just say the name of the company that makes this vehicle. Now, other amazing features in here. We've got this beautiful ambient lighting. You can't really see it too well in the day, but we're gonna have some B-roll of it in my parking garage structure where you can see it. 64 different ambient light colors here. Absolutely awesome, with some cool animations when you turn up the temperature and what have you. Of course, this is a GLS63. It's the most expensive version of this car. You get all the luxury features. We have all these different massage functions. I can have a wave massage, an active workout massage, active workout cushion massage, mobilizing massage, and they are absolutely lovely. In the glove box here, we have our fragrance dispenser. You can put this in here. It's a little jar of fragrance that you plug in, and that will waft a scent through the air vents. That's absolutely incredible. We've got all of these augmented reality features here. You can see we have this amazing 360-degree camera. Of course, this vehicle is capable of parking itself as well. And when you put on the navigation system, what it'll do is when you're about to make a turn, it'll actually show you, like using the car's cameras, a virtual reality, like augmented reality image of where you're supposed to turn. So it's really impossible to get lost in this vehicle. We've got 9 USB ports scattered around the vehicle. They're USB-Cs, interestingly enough. I haven't found a single regular USB port, so you might have to go out and buy some USB-Cs. We've got heated and cooled cup holders. These AMG seats are, even though they're a little more bolstered than the ones you get in a normal GLS, are still incredibly comfortable. We have this amazing Burmester audio system with these beautiful speaker grills, and of course the ambient lighting surrounds them. So I just can't say enough nice things about this interior. One complaint that I will say about this infotainment system, the MBUX system, is that I'm a journalist, so I've driven these vehicles a lot, so I'm pretty familiar with how to use this. I think if you're stepping into this vehicle for the first time, you might find this system a little bit confusing, and under certain menus when you're driving, the steering wheel is going to cut off your view of what's on this side of the screen. It's not been a major annoyance, but it is something that I wanted to point out. Now, let's go ahead and check out the back seat, because that is going to be a practical consideration when you're buying a GLS. Back here, the GLS is incredibly luxurious. I've got over 41 inches of legroom back here, which is a little bit more, actually significantly more than you get in the BMW X7. And not only that, these seats are heated and ventilated as part of an executive package. You can't get ventilated seats on any X7 optionally or what have you. The executive package also makes these seats power adjustable, so I can slide, I can recline them as well. I've got plenty of air back here. I have an air vent in the center console, an air vent on the door pillar, an air vent on the ceiling. So you're definitely not going to be uncomfortable here, especially with the heated and ventilation back here. Plus, I can have a massage function, but you might be wondering why there's no button. There's no button to turn on the massage. That's because with the executive package here in the center console, I've got this handy Samsung tablet. I just push eject, and right here I actually have a mirror image of the MBUX infotainment system up front, so I can control the sound, I can control the radio, I can control the air conditioning, I can control all of that using this handy tablet. It's an amazing feature. I've got a wireless charger here as well to charge up one of my devices. I've got more USB-Cs, 2 more of them here in the center console. This is the 7-seater layout, but you can also get captain's chairs back here if you so desire. Now let's go ahead and talk about entry and exit into the third row. So I've climbed here into the third row to show you a little bit of the legroom. I do have an automatic button all the way back here. To get into the second row, there's a button on the second row backrest that automatically adjusts it. So you don't have to like pull any levers or anything. It automatically sets into place. If this person were a little bit more comfortable, I wouldn't have that much legroom back here. I think that the BMW X7 does a little bit better job in the third row. So if third row is important, you might want to look at the X7. Second row, I think the GLS is a little bit nicer. And Mercedes made some weird concessions back here. We've got air vents here, which is nice, obviously. I've got 2 cup holders, which is interesting because there's only a single cup holder in the second row. And I've got 4 USB-C ports back here. That just seems like a whole lot for a row that you probably aren't going to be using all that much. But I do like that the ability to move the seats is available in the third row if you are going to use it a lot. Space behind the third row is 17.4 cubic feet, which is really good. It's actually a little bit bigger than the BMW X7. Now, if you fold down that second row, you're going to have 42.7 cubic feet, which is slightly less than the X7. And if you fold down both rows, you're going to have a total of 84.7 cubic feet, which again is slightly smaller overall than the X7, but you can fold the seats all the way flat so long as you get the 7-seat configuration, not the captain's chairs. Time to see how the GLS63 performs out on the road. Wait! Boop. Let's just get this massage. Yep. All right, now I'm getting a back massage. Now we can begin. All right, so first and foremost, if you're gonna buy a GLS63, you want to know how it performs as a luxury car first and foremost. This isn't a sports car, this is a big 3-row SUV. And even in its most hardcore AMG form, it rides beautifully. It's super quiet in here. It's definitely a little stiffer than a non-AMG model. You're gonna feel the bumps just a little bit more, but it does a really good job of ironing those out. You have these Michelin Pilot Super Sport tires that are gonna make things a little bit louder, but when you're driving the car in comfort mode, it's silent, it's quiet, don't even hear the engine. It doesn't do the typical AMG blah, 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 when you fire it up, which is a little disappointing to me, but you might like that Mercedes took a little bit of restraint here. Now we've got a bunch of different drive modes. I showed you those when we were doing the interior. I'm gonna go ahead and put it in Sport Plus mode and take it around a 90-degree corner that I definitely shouldn't be able to do in a big SUV like this, and that was so easy, powering right out. Oh my gosh, it's so quick. You should not be able to do this in an SUV weighing over 5,700 pounds. Wow. Oh my God. That was the most insane corner, and it took it. It just took it. We've got the 48-volt mild hybrid system that powers AMG's ride control plus air suspension with active roll stabilization. That means when you chuck this baby into a corner, it's going to use electricity to control the air suspension to kind of even you out. So there's just not the body roll that you'd expect from a massive SUV like this. And that 48-volt mild hybrid system does a whole lot more than just control the suspension. It also drives the auxiliary functions like the air conditioning and all that. So when you come to a stop, you don't get that shudder that you normally get from a regular gas engine vehicle. It's almost more like a hybrid. In fact, it is a mild hybrid system, as they like to call it. And I love that Mercedes is putting these EQ boost systems more on their vehicles. They started with the inline 6, but this is the first time they're putting it on the 4-liter AMG V8. And let's talk about that V8 for a second. It is a whopper of an engine. 4 liters, 2 turbochargers in a hot V configuration. That already helps to eliminate turbo lag, but the EQ boost helps fill in the gaps with electric torque. The starter generator on the motor from that 48-volt mild hybrid system provides an additional 21 horsepower and 181 pound-feet of torque. The total numbers that are quoted for this vehicle are 603 horsepower and 627 pound-feet of torque. So you want to know what that feels like? Let's go ahead and put our foot down. Here it goes. Oh, wow. It's amazing that a big, massive living room on wheels is able to get up to speed that quickly with so little turbo lag. Now, this is a huge vehicle, so you shouldn't be expecting super sports car acceleration, but what this car is able to do is incredibly impressive. I'm so amazed by it. I think the only limiting factor here is this 9G automatic transmission. It's not my favorite transmission. I do prefer the ZF 8-speed unit that BMW uses in the X7. This one it doesn't want to give me shifts quite when I desire them, even in Sport Plus mode. Now, on the steering wheel here, I can put the car in manual mode, and that's gonna liven things up a lot. So let's see if we can get some nice little acceleration here. Let's see, I'm gonna lower it down into first gear. Here we go. Oh yeah. Kind of conks out at the top there. The RPM fuel cutoff is a little bit lower than you think it is on the gear shifter there, but I love driving this car in manual mode, which I wasn't expecting to. I usually don't love driving automatic cars in their manual modes, but this just helps me keep it on the power so easily, and we're doing outrageous speeds that we probably shouldn't be doing in a big SUV like this, but it handles it. The all-wheel drive system puts the power down well. It can torque vector 100% left between the left and right wheels. I just can't believe that a big, giant SUV like this can handle this well. That being said, this AMG model is a conundrum to me because it's not that loud. You can hear the exhaust pretty well. It does the normal AMG crackles and pops, but they've definitely shown a little bit of restraint here as I put it back into comfort mode. It's very quiet. It only barks when you put it in its most extreme mode and you really demand it. Other than that, it's a little too quiet and sensible. The transmission just isn't tuned to be that aggressive. This is definitely the least aggressive AMG car I've driven. And with a big 3-row crossover, I think Mercedes did make the right decision there to not make it so overly aggressive. But if that's the case, I think you'd be better off either getting the 450, which is the base model with the inline 6 that has 362 horsepower. They also make a V8 powered GLS 580. That's the same engine that you get in here, 4 liters twin turbo, but it produces 483 horsepower, which is fine. You'll do fine with that, and you're going to save a lot of money doing so. If you want to be crazy, there's a GLS 600 Maybach coming out. That one is going to have this engine making about 550 horsepower, but it's going to be a whole lot more comfortable and luxurious oriented than this one. So I just don't necessarily see the point of buying the AMG version of this, but the driving experience is certainly amazing, and it does justify the asking price. So that was the 2021 Mercedes-AMG GLS63. Long name, yeah, I know, but it's a lot of car. Nobody needs a 3-row SUV that's this powerful, this fast, and can handle this well, but Mercedes, you know what? They're gonna go ahead and offer it. I think that about 90% of people are gonna be just fine with the GLS 450, spending about half as much as this 63 model, and those who aren't can opt for the GLS 580. That's gonna cover about 99% of the market right there. But if you are part of that crazy 1% that just needs the most opulent SUV on the market, I still don't think that the 63 is the one I'd get. I'd wait for the Mercedes GLS 600 Maybach, which is gonna have recliners in the back, and it's gonna be a little bit more silent and luxurious. But I can't let my opinions on this car's necessity drive down my decision. I still think it is one of the greatest SUVs I've ever driven, which is why it's going going to earn a CarBuzz score of must buy. I hope you've enjoyed this video. See you next time.